All right. So you know how everyone's always talking about AI these days, right? And you know what else is basically taking over the internet? Memes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, today we're diving deep into whether AI can actually create memes that are funny.
Yeah, can robots be funny? Can they get our sense of humor?
Exactly. And what does it mean for all of us online? Like how we communicate and how companies try to get our attention,
Yeah.
especially all the brands that seem to be trying to talk to us in memes half the time.
Yeah. It is a really fascinating question. Like these two worlds are colliding.
Right.
You got the world of memes, which is all about that spontaneous kind of random absurd humor, and then you have this world of AI, which is all about logic and patterns. It's like what happens when those two things meet.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm really glad we have a bunch of great sources to help us explore this today.
Yeah.
You sent over this really thought-provoking blog post called AI-Generated Memes. Can a robot actually be funny?
Mm.
We also have this really interesting personal account from someone who actually tried putting their own meme captioning skills up against an AI.
Oh, cool.
And then we've got this in-depth article from Ars Technica, which breaks down a whole study comparing AI-generated memes to human ones and how funny people rated them.
Awesome.
So I guess our mission today is to figure out, first of all, how is AI even getting involved in making memes? Like, how is that even possible?
Right.
Then we have to ask, like, is AI humor actually funny? And does it even compare to the stuff that humans come up with? Are we even laughing at the same thing?
Exactly.
And finally, what does all this mean for businesses, especially when you think about all those brands that are trying to connect with younger people, the generations who basically communicate in memes at this point?
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess first things first, we got to figure out how AI can even make a meme.
Yeah. The blog post lays out a pretty clear explanation, I think. It says that AI meme generation relies on a few key things. First, there's machine learning, and then there's natural language processing.
Natural language processing.
Yeah, NLP for short.
NLP, got it.
So basically, these algorithms, they're trained on these massive data sets of existing memes. Think like huge, huge libraries of memes, both the images and the text, the captions. And they learn to recognize the elements and the structures that tend to make a meme work, that make them go viral and be funny.
So it's kind of like if you took someone who wanted to be a comedian
Yeah.
and you just showed them like thousands and thousands of jokes and hoped they would figure out what made them funny.
Yeah, I think that's a really good analogy.
Right, like figure out the underlying principles.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's learning from all these examples.
And one of the key techniques that the blog post highlights is something called generative adversarial networks,
Generative adversarial networks, okay.
or GANs.
GANs, okay.
These things are really interesting because they involve two AI models working together, kind of like a sparring match, like you said. One AI is trying to generate new memes that look and feel authentic, like they were made by a human.
Okay.
And then the other AI is acting like a detector, like a meme expert.
Right.
And it's trying to distinguish between the AI-generated memes and the real ones made by humans. And this back and forth, this constant competition, pushes the meme-generating AI to get better and better at mimicking the components of a successful meme. So, to break down GANs a little bit further, there's this one AI that's trying to make a convincing meme, and we can call that the generator. And then you have another AI that's acting like a meme expert trying to spot the fake ones, and that's called the discriminator.
Okay.
And it's that constant competition between the two that really pushes that generator to get better and better.
So there's like an AI arms race happening right now for humor.
Exactly.
That is wild.
Yeah.
The blog post also mentions a couple of specific tools in this space, right?
Like Inflip, which I've actually seen before. It gives AI-powered caption suggestions to users who are making memes. And then there's this one called Dank Learning. I'm not sure if I've seen that one.
Yeah.
And that one sounds pretty intense.
It does sound intense. So Dank Learning, they trained their neural network on this huge, huge data set, over 100,000 meme captions. And their whole goal was to create new captions that were deliberately like absurd and nonsensical, really pushing the boundaries of what AI could come up with.
Okay.
And it really highlights a super important point that the blog post makes, which is that while AI can definitely identify and reproduce patterns in humor, it really struggles with those more nuanced aspects of humor. Like, things like sarcasm, irony, and even understanding cultural references.
Yeah.
Those aren't things that you can just figure out by recognizing patterns.
Right.
You need a deeper understanding of context, human experience, all of that stuff. And AI just doesn't have that. It's
No.
not really getting the jokes the same way that a human does.
It's more like it's statistically recreating elements that have been associated with humor in the past. And, just to clarify a bit, natural language processing in this context means the AI has to understand and generate text that resembles human language, but specifically as it appears in memes.
So it's processing the data on what looks like
Yeah.
funny, but it doesn't necessarily feel funny on an intuitive level.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we kind of have a sense now of how these digital comedians are being built, how AI is learning to make memes. But I guess the next big question is, why should companies even care about this?
Right.
Like, why should they be paying attention to AI-generated memes?
Yeah, and our sources definitely touch on that. Like, memes are becoming increasingly important for marketing,
Right.
especially if you're trying to connect with Gen Z and millennials.
Yeah.
Memes have become a huge part of how they communicate.
Totally. Like when you think about Duolingo and Wendy's, those are two brands that come to mind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The way they've used memes, they've been so good at it.
Yeah. They've done a really great job.
Engaging their audiences and even building emotional connections through humor, I think. Like Duolingo, for example, that little persistent green owl, in meme form.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Totally.
And it's definitely become a recognizable part of their brand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what would you say are the biggest advantages for a business that starts experimenting with AI-generated memes?
I think the blog post lays out a few key benefits that are really interesting. The first one is just speed, like the sheer speed and volume of content creation that AI offers. AI can just generate so many meme options so quickly.
Okay.
So think about it. If you're a brand and you're trying to hop on a trend that's going viral, like something is blowing up on the internet.
Right.
Humans might take hours, maybe even a whole day to brainstorm and create a really relevant meme, one that's actually funny and fits the trend. But AI could generate dozens of options in minutes.
Wow.
Potentially even letting the brand be part of the conversation while it's happening, as the trend is unfolding.
Yeah, which is so crucial with memes. It's all about timing, right?
Yeah, totally. Like if
Yeah.
you're late to the game, it's just not funny anymore.
Right, it's already over.
Exactly.
Okay, so speed is a huge one.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, the second benefit is cost efficiency.
Okay.
If you can automate at least part of that meme creation process, you're going to save a lot of time and resources compared to just relying on human creative teams.
Makes sense.
And then third, and I think this is a really big one for a lot of businesses, it gives them a direct way to engage those younger audiences,
Right.
the ones who really do speak meme,
Like their native language.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the blog post actually uses Duolingo as an example of how AI could take their meme strategy even further, which I think is a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Imagine that little green owl instantly reacting to whatever the latest internet craze is, like in real time,
Yeah.
with a perfectly timed AI-generated meme.
Yeah. The possibilities are pretty crazy when you think about it.
Right.
Like the potential for boosting engagement and loyalty by being that relevant and timely.
Right?
Like you're right there with the audience in the moment.
Yeah. And the blog post actually brought up a really interesting case study, too.
Oh, yeah.
Nike, back in 2021,
Yeah.
they reportedly used AI to generate memes that were specifically targeted at younger audiences
Okay.
on Instagram and TikTok. And they saw, get this, a 35% increase in engagement, which is huge.
Oh, that is a big jump.
Yeah.
That's really significant.
It shows you the potential impact when this is done right.
Absolutely. So it seems like there are some serious advantages to using AI for memes, but I'm also wondering, like, with that kind of power, are there any downsides? Anything we should be cautious about?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the blog post actually goes into some of the ethical considerations, which I think are really important to keep in mind. Like AI doesn't understand humor or social context the same way that we do. So there's a real risk of it creating memes that could be unintentionally offensive.
Right.
Or that could misinterpret cultural norms in a way that's really harmful.
Yeah, it's like we all remember the cautionary tale of Microsoft's Tay chatbot, right?
Yeah.
That experiment went south pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I think the blog post even specifically mentioned Tay as an example of what can go wrong when AI is deployed without any human oversight. It started posting super offensive and inappropriate stuff, like within a very short amount of time after it was launched.
Yeah. It interacted with some users online who, shall we say, steered it in a bad direction.
Right.
Yeah. So it shows you AI can be a super powerful tool, but you got to be really careful.
Yeah, for sure.
Like for brands, especially, even if you're using AI to generate ideas for memes,
Mhm.
you absolutely need to have humans involved in the process.
Right.
A review process to make sure the content is aligned with your brand values
Right.
and that you're not going to end up with a PR nightmare.
Totally. So it's about using AI for speed and scale, but having human judgment as a filter.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Huh.
Okay, so let's get back to the core question here about the humor itself. Can AI really replicate human humor, or is it just like a really sophisticated imitation?
Yeah. This is the big question, isn't it?
It is.
And the blog post tackles this head on, I think. It points out that AI is really good at identifying patterns, which is definitely a part of humor, right?
Right.
Like, think about the structure of a joke,
Yeah,
the setup, the punchline. There's a pattern there.
there is.
But the post argues that AI is probably missing the deeper understanding that underlies a lot of human humor.
And I think the personal account we have actually illustrates this point really well.
Yeah.
It kind of contrasts AI-generated memes, which often rely on wordplay and kind of this random absurdity, with human-generated memes that are usually based on, shared pop culture references, current events, things that we all kind of get.
Yeah.
It's almost like AI is speaking a different comedic language.
It's a really interesting way to think about it. Yeah. Like, it's almost like a different dialect of humor.
Yeah, totally.
The account even describes AI memes as having this kind of weird, quirky cousin vibe, which I think is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
It's that slightly off-kilter feeling. But then the author also talks about this AI-generated meme. It was a cat riding a unicorn with a philosophical caption about plot twists.
Okay.
And they admitted it was actually surprisingly clever and something they might not have thought of themselves.
Interesting.
So it raises this really cool possibility that maybe AI isn't just mimicking us. Maybe it's stumbling upon entirely new forms of humor.
Like it's coming up with its own style of humor,
Exactly.
which is kind of mind-blowing.
It is.
And they contrasted that with the inside joke quality that a lot of really relatable human-generated memes have.
Yeah.
It's like AI can sometimes achieve this bizarre profundity, but maybe it's missing that shared cultural understanding that lets human memes connect with us so instantly.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Okay, so we've got these two different comedic styles going on, which brings us to the Ars Technica article and the study that it reports on. Because this study actually tries to measure the humor generated by AI versus humans.
Right.
And the headline is pretty attention-grabbing. Study finds AI-generated meme captions funnier than human ones on average.
True.
That's kind of wild.
It is.
So they compared captions generated by AI, specifically using GPT-4o, with captions created by humans working on their own, and then humans who were collaborating with that same AI.
Okay.
And they used existing popular meme images as templates and evaluated the captions across a bunch of different categories like work, food, sports, things like that.
Interesting.
And the crazy thing is the people who reviewed the memes, they rated the AI captions higher on average for humor, creativity, and what they call shareability.
Interesting. So on average, the AI was funnier. That's pretty wild.
It is, right.
Yeah.
It's like a meme itself. But there's a really important nuance here. While the AI did better on average, when the researchers looked at the absolute top-rated memes, the very best ones, those were still created by humans,
Okay.
either working alone or collaborating with the AI. And actually, the most creative and shareable examples came from those human-AI collaborations. So it seems like the AI was really good at being consistently good, But human creativity still had the potential to reach a higher level, like the real comedic peaks.
Okay, so that makes sense. So AI is like the workhorse,
Yeah.
consistently produces good humor, but the humans are still the ones who are capable of those really exceptional moments.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay.
And the article also mentioned that having AI assistants led to just more meme ideas in general.
Yeah, that's right. The researchers saw that when humans had AI as a tool, they were more productive. Like, they came up with more ideas.
Yeah.
They just found the process easier.
Yeah.
But, and this is a really key point, this increased output doesn't necessarily mean that the average quality was better. As the researchers put it, the increased productivity of human AI teams does not lead to better results, just to more results.
So more isn't always better, at least when it comes to meme creation.
Exactly.
Interesting. So AI can help us brainstorm, but it doesn't guarantee comedic brilliance.
Right.
The article also mentioned something interesting about how the participants felt about using AI.
Oh, yeah, their sense of ownership, right.
Yes.
Yeah, the people who used AI assistants said they felt slightly less ownership over the memes they created. And the researchers think that this feeling of ownership could actually be a big factor in creative motivation and how satisfied people are with the results.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, if you feel like the AI helped you write the joke, it might not feel like it's really your joke landing with the audience.
Exactly.
Okay, so why do you think the AI performs so well on average? The researchers had some ideas about that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, their main theory was that because the AI was trained on such a huge data set of internet content, it was able to identify those humor patterns that have really broad appeal. Like, it's figuring out what makes a lot of people laugh. But human humor, on the other hand, can be a lot more personal, more niche, and so there's a wider range of how people are going to respond to it.
Right.
Some jokes are going to land amazingly well, while others might fall completely flat.
Okay, so AI is playing the odds, aiming for that humor that resonates with a big audience, even if it's not always the most brilliant joke ever.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
The article even includes a comment from this guy, Ethan Mollick. He said something about how the meme Turing test has been passed.
Oh, wow.
But he also pointed out that a lot of people actually find bad memes funny or interesting.
Right.
So it's like, what even makes a meme good anymore?
That's a great question. Like, what are we actually responding to when we laugh at a meme, especially one that's created by AI?
It's almost like, are we laughing with the AI or at it?
Yeah. Or maybe even both, right? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes we find humor in the awkwardness of it, trying to be funny.
Totally.
It's like that so bad it's good kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about some pretty interesting stuff.
We have.
But the article also mentioned that the study itself had some limitations.
Oh, yeah, there are a few caveats for sure.
Like the meme creation sessions were pretty short,
Right?
and the participants might not have had enough time to really explore the potential for collaboration with the AI. Maybe if they had more time and experience, the results could be different.
Yeah, totally.
Plus, they used crowdsourced evaluators, which introduces a certain level of subjectivity. And there's always a possibility that people are biased toward humor that's more mainstream, easier to understand,
Right.
which could mean that AI-generated memes, which are often designed for that broad appeal, would naturally score higher.
It makes sense.
So maybe with more collaboration, different ways of evaluating the memes, the results could look different.
Potentially, yeah.
And the researchers actually suggested some ideas for future research, building on what they found.
Oh, cool. It's like what?
They talked about scenarios where the AI would generate a ton of meme ideas really quickly, and then humans would come in and act like curators.
Yeah.
They would pick out the most promising ones and refine them with their own creativity.
So that hybrid model again.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the AI brings the efficiency, the volume, and then humans bring that quality control, the nuance, and that spark of brilliance.
I like it.
Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of ground here. Let's try to sum it all up for our listeners. What would you say are the key takeaways from this deep dive into the world of AI and meme culture?
Okay, well, I think a few key insights really stand out. First, it's clear that AI is becoming increasingly capable of generating memes. And the study from Ars Technica that we talked about suggests that on average, it can even outperform humans in creating content that people find funny. But, and this is crucial, human creativity still shines when it comes to making those really exceptional, those really memorable memes, the ones that really hit you in the feels or make you think.
Right, so AI can be funny, maybe even consistently funny,
Yeah.
but there's still something missing, that extra something that makes a meme truly iconic.
Exactly.
What about for businesses who are thinking about using AI for memes?
I think there's definitely potential there, especially if you're trying to connect with younger audiences. AI offers those advantages in terms of speed, the volume of memes you can create, and potentially even cost savings. But, and this is a big but, human oversight is absolutely essential.
Right.
You need human review to make sure that the AI-generated content is actually aligning with your brand values and to avoid any accidental cultural missteps or offensive material.
So it seems like the best approach is probably a collaborative one, where AI is a tool that helps human creativity rather than replacing it altogether.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Like AI is a really efficient brainstorming partner.
Exactly. It's like having this incredible brainstorming partner that can churn out ideas, but ultimately it's the human touch that brings the strategic direction, the nuanced understanding of humor, and that all-important quality control.
I love that. This has been such a fascinating exploration. It really makes you think about how online communication is changing. So, to leave our listeners with one final thought, as AI gets even better at generating memes, what will the future of online humor look like? Will we see this true partnership emerge between human wit and artificial intelligence like our sources have suggested?
Yeah.
And what kind of crazy, new, unexpected forms of humor might come out of that collaboration? It's definitely worth paying attention to your own reactions to the memes you see online.
Yeah.
Are you starting to notice any differences?
Yeah. Good question.
What does all this mean for how we experience online culture? Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
It was really interesting.
Yeah.
Until next time.
See.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like to show your support. Got thoughts, questions, or ideas? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe and hit the to stay updated on my latest content. See you in the next video.